God created time. There was no time before him. He created place. Al-Makan. There was no place before him. The Absolute, Al-Haq, the Magnificent, existed eternally without time or space. He is exalted beyond all limits. No place encompasses him, and no time governs him. When a human being swears, it is to convince another person of their seriousness. But when Allah swears in the Qur'an, it is not to convince himself or to prove his truth. It is to draw human attention toward a reality we continuously ignore. And Allah swears by time. Wal-Asr, by time. Indeed, mankind is in loss. Only 3 verses. And Imam Shafi said, if nothing else was revealed from the Qur'an, this surah alone would have been enough. Why? Because the entire human condition is summarized in it. Time is the battlefield of existence. Time is the witness of every rise and fall. Time is the silent record of every breath, every intention, every deed. The Qur'an begins Surah Al-Asr with an oath, which means we are not paying enough attention to what time actually is. The word Asr in Arabic may seem simple at first glance, yet it carries rich layers of meaning. Classical Arabic scholars, linguists, and Qur'anic commentators have long recognized it as a term with multiple interconnected dimensions. One reason Allah's oath by it is so powerful and compelling. The Qur'an is remarkably precise in every word it chooses, and Asr is no exception. In Arabic, Asr primarily comes from the trilateral root Ain Sad Ra. The root conveys the idea of pressing, squeezing, extracting, or compressing. For example, Arabs say Asra Thamar, meaning to squeeze fruit until the juice is extracted. The linguistic image is one of something being pressed under force until its essence emerges. When this meaning is applied to time, as in Surah Al-Asr, it implies that time does not simply flow, it presses upon creation, extracting from humanity what it truly is. Time does not pass quietly. It acts, it operates, it influences, it reveals. Every passing day squeezes out human potential, decisions, virtues, and regrets. In classical rhetoric, this is known as isti'ara, a metaphor in which a physical action, squeezing fruit, is borrowed to describe a metaphysical phenomenon, the unfolding of existence. Al-Asr also refers to the late afternoon, the final segment of the day, when shadows lengthen and daylight begins to fade. In the human world, this is the hour when workers return from their labor, merchants close their shops, and people pause to evaluate what they have actually accomplished. It becomes a symbolic moment of reflection, accountability, and honest self-assessment, a time when the day has moved beyond recovery. Once Asr arrives, whatever has not been done is, for the most part, lost. Because of this, the word carries a sense of urgency, limitation, and the narrowing of opportunity. By invoking Al-Asr, the Qur'an suggests that humanity itself stands in such a binding up moment. Civilization is in its afternoon, existence is moving forward, and the chance to shape one's destiny is not unlimited. Beyond its meaning as the late afternoon, Al-Asr, in classical Arabic, also refers to the span of lived time, time as it is experienced, measured, and filled with unfolding events. Unlike Dahr, which denotes vast overarching time, or Waqt, which refers to a specific moment, Al-Asr signifies the human journey through changing conditions, actions, consequences, and the rise and fall of states. The Qur'an could have sworn by terms such as Dahr, Waqt, or Zaman, but it chose Al-Asr because it highlights time as the arena of human life itself, the stage upon which deeds occur, choices are made, and moral responsibility takes shape. Ibn Kathir, one of the most widely cited mufassirun, explains that Allah swears by time to draw attention to its centrality in human existence. According to him, every human life unfolds within the framework of time. Birth, growth, actions, choices, and consequences all occur within time's continuum. By swearing by time, Allah points to the stage upon which the drama of human existence plays out. Time is not merely a measure, it is the vessel that holds all human experience. Time marks the natural cycles that organize life on earth. Day and night, rest and activity, labor and reflection, all these rhythms of life are indicators of Allah's design. Ibn Kathir notes that the alternation of day and night reminds humans of their accountability. The passing hours bring opportunities for action, repentance, and moral responsibility. Ibn Kathir's Tafsir establishes a foundational understanding. Time is not just a neutral measurement. It is intimately tied to human responsibility, opportunity, and accountability. This sets the stage for understanding why Surah Al-Asr begins with an oath by time. Tabari notes that time itself is a proof that humanity is in loss, but clarifies that this loss is not because time is inherently harmful. Rather, loss is intrinsic to human behavior in relation to time. Every passing moment is a part of life that will never return. Humans are mortal, and the hours, days, and years that slip away cannot be recovered. Surah Al-Asr thus reminds humanity of the urgency of using time wisely. Ignoring its significance leads to inevitable loss. Fakhr al-Din al-Razi asserts that nothing is more precious to a human being than time, because time is life itself. To lose time is to lose life. To squander hours is to squander existence. Al-Razi highlights a remarkable structure in Surah Al-Asr, viewing it as almost a cosmic formula. Allah swears by time. The oath signals the seriousness of what follows. By swearing on time, Allah elevates the subject and signals that what is about to be described is of ultimate significance for human existence. He declares humanity to be in loss. Every human, by default, is in loss unless certain conditions are met. This loss is not partial or incidental. It is comprehensive, affecting deeds, character, and ultimately the eternal outcome of the soul. Then he provides the escape from loss, faith, righteous action, truthfulness, and patience. These four principles form the only means by which a human, community, or civilization can avoid destruction. Al-Razi underscores that these principles are not merely personal virtues, but cosmic laws governing human survival. They are essential for both individual salvation and the stability of communities and civilizations. Societies that abandon these principles are doomed to decline, just as individuals who neglect them are spiritually lost. In Al-Razi's view, Surah Al-Asr is a concise statement of universal law. Time holds a central place in the creation of Allah, and in the Qur'an, He swears by various stages and aspects of time to draw attention to its significance. Wal-Fajri, by the dawn, Wal-Layl, by the night, Wal-Duha, by the morning light, Was-Subhi, by the early morning. Each of these oaths highlights a different phase of time, reminding humanity of the order, precision, and purpose embedded in creation, as well as the finite nature of time. Human beings experience time as if it is a constant. We wake up, the clock moves forward second by second, hours pass, days complete, and the mind assumes that everyone everywhere is moving through time at the same pace. This was the intuitive understanding shared by all civilizations until a young patent clerk named Albert Einstein shattered this basic assumption. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time is not universal. Time does not move at the same rate for everyone, and the speed at which a clock ticks depends on two factors: velocity and gravity. Einstein proposed that the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. If a person were to travel in a spacecraft at a speed close to that of light, the hours they experience would be fewer than those passing for people on Earth. When they return, the Earth might have aged decades, while they themselves only aged a few years. This idea formed the basis of the famous thought experiment known as the twin paradox, where one twin travels near light speed and returns to find the other twin significantly older. The second factor that affects time is gravity. Einstein showed that the stronger the gravitational field, the slower time passes. This means that time flows differently at different heights above the Earth. A clock on top of a mountain ticks slightly faster than a clock at sea level. The difference is tiny, but measurable. GPS satellites orbiting the Earth experience weaker gravity and therefore run faster than clocks on the surface. Engineers must continuously correct these differences. Otherwise, navigation systems would become inaccurate within minutes. If a person were to approach a black hole, where gravity is extremely strong, time would slow dramatically. From their perspective, their heartbeats, thoughts, and movements would feel normal. But an observer watching from far away would see their time nearly freeze. If they returned to normal space, they might discover that centuries or millennia had passed, while they had only lived for a short period. Einstein's theory shows that the universe is not governed by a single cosmic clock. Every location, every planet, every star has its own ticking timeline. The universe contains countless overlapping time streams, all relative to gravity and speed. When the Qur'an opens Surah Al-Asr with the words, "by time," modern physics gives this oath a scientific depth. Time is not simple. Time is not uniform. It is woven into the structure of space itself. Movement through space affects movement through time. Gravity bends time the way a heavy ball bends a stretched sheet. Time is part of the architecture of reality. Time in physics appears cold and mechanical, as if its only function is to move forward, like the ticking of a clock. Einstein even described our perception of flowing time as an illusion, because physics does not experience time the way consciousness does. In the physical universe, time is simply a coordinate. It does not feel joy, sadness, regret, fear, or hope, but human beings do. The Qur'anic concept of Al-Asr goes far beyond numerical measurement. It speaks to the deeper dimension of time, the dimension that physics cannot detect. In Surah Al-Asr, time carries with it responsibility, accountability, moral consequence, consciousness, intention, meaning. It is not simply the background against which life unfolds. It is the arena in which the human soul reveals its reality. Einstein's theory also introduced the concept of space-time, a single fabric combining space and time. In this model, every event in the universe, every movement, interaction, and transformation requires 4 coordinates, not just 3. Where classical thought imagined time as something separate floating outside the universe, relativity reveals that time is part of the physical structure of the cosmos. It can stretch, contract, bend, and slow down depending on gravity and motion. This scientific insight gives an additional dimension to our reflection on Surah Al-Asr, though the Qur'an is not describing physics. What modern science calls space-time, the Qur'an calls Al-Asr, time as a lived, unfolding dimension in which all creation functions. When Allah swears by time, wal asri, He is not referring merely to the ticking of a clock or the passing of hours. Rather, the oath encompasses the entire temporal structure in which creation exists, the dimension through which destinies unfold, the arena where human choices, actions, and consequences manifest, However, this is only my opinion. There is a misconception about time that I want to clear. Many people misunderstand the Hadith do not vilify time, for time is God, and conclude that time itself is divine. This is incorrect. The full and authentic Hadith in Sahih Muslim explains the meaning. The son of Adam curses time, yet I am time. In my hand are the night and the day. This does not mean that Allah is time. Rather, it is a metaphorical expression. In the pre-Islamic era, Arabs believed that time was the force that caused death, disasters, and misfortune. They used to curse time itself. The Prophet, peace be upon him, clarified that what they attributed to time is actually the decree of Allah. So the message is, do not curse time because Allah is the one who controls time, events, moments, life, and death. Modern physics shows that time bends, stretches, slows down, and speeds up under gravity and motion. If something can change, it cannot be eternal or divine. Change is a quality of creation, not the creator. The universe began with the Big Bang, and according to Einstein, space and time began with it. Anything that begins is not God. Allah, in Islamic belief, has no beginning and no end. He is the first and the last. Time makes stars age. Time makes bodies decay. Time makes galaxies evolve. But Allah is outside of time's influence. He is not subject to hours, moments, or aging. Einstein showed that time is woven into the universe itself. If space did not exist, time would not exist. This means time depends on creation, while creation depends on Allah. Therefore, time cannot be divine. Modern cosmology teaches that time began with the Big Bang. Before the creation of space, matter, and energy, there was no before in the way humans understand it. Time is a property that emerged with the universe. This presents a scientific puzzle. If time began with the universe, then what existed before the universe emerged? The laws of physics fail to answer this because the equations break down. Scientists describe this as the singularity, a point at which mathematics collapses. Here, I am speaking specifically about physical time, not divine time. Because when we discuss Surah Al-Asr, we are dealing with the time that governs the human story, the rise and fall of civilizations, and even the unfolding of the universe itself. This is created time, the time that began with the dawn of the cosmos. Divine time, on the other hand, is completely different. It includes realities such as the 6 periods of creation and verses like, "A day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of what you count." These belong to a realm beyond physical clocks, beyond astronomy, and beyond human perception. We will explore divine time in a separate chapter, inshallah. For now, our focus is on the physical time of the universe. Now, some physicists propose that asking what was before the Big Bang is like asking what is north of the North Pole. The question assumes a direction that does not exist. Time is tied to the fabric of space. Without space, time has no meaning. In everyday life, we treat time as something external to the universe, but science tells us it may be part of the universe in the same way volume or mass is. In this scenario, asking what existed before time is asking about something outside the realm of physical measurement. Islamic theology, however, answers this question in a remarkably direct way. Allah is described in the Qur'an as the first and the last. Classical scholars explain this as meaning that Allah existed when there was nothing else. There was no space, there was no matter, there was no time. Time is among the things Allah created. Because Allah does not change, He is not bound by temporal flow. Human beings measure their lives through change, A child becomes old because time passes. A star burns through fuel because time is moving. But Allah is not a physical being inside the universe. He created the universe and its governing dimensions. Thus, unlike creation, He is not subject to entropy, decay, aging, or measurement. The Qur'an describes the origin of creation with the divine command, "Be and it is." This language is important. It does not describe an event happening inside time. It describes the initiation of time itself. The command "be" marks the moment when the universe, with all its physical laws, including time, came into existence. Because of this, questions like, "What was Allah doing before creation?" are based on a misunderstanding. The word "before" belongs to the world inside time, and time had not yet been created. Before only makes sense once time exists. When time does not exist, concepts like before, after, waiting, duration, or sequence do not apply. This is why classical scholars said, time is part of creation. Allah is not contained by time. The creator of time cannot be measured by time. But our lives and the age of the universe itself can be measured by time. And this is precisely why Allah begins Surah Al-Asr with the oath, by time. Because once time begins, it becomes the arena in which every human being lives, acts, changes, succeeds, or fails. And within this arena, Allah declares, "No doubt the human being is in loss, except those who have faith, do righteous deeds, encourage one another to truth, and encourage one another to patience." One of the most profound scientific insights of the last 2 centuries is the second law of thermodynamics. This law states that entropy, the degree of disorder in a system, always increases with time. In simpler terms, the universe is gradually running down. Heat spreads out, organized structures decay, stars burn through their fuel, complex systems break apart. The universe, if left alone, moves from order toward disorder. This law is the foundation of modern physics and explains why time has a direction. If the universe ever reached a perfectly balanced state with no differences in energy, nothing would happen. The universe would become a silent sea of uniform temperature, known as heat death. This scientific reality has a striking resonance with the message of Surah Al-Asr. The Qur'an declares that mankind is in loss. Not some people, not a few, but mankind as a whole is moving toward loss unless they consciously rise above the natural current. In physics, all physical systems decay unless energy is intentionally used to resist entropy. A house falls apart unless someone maintains it. A body becomes weak unless a person eats and exercises. Civilization collapses unless ideas, morality, and effort renew it. The natural direction of the universe is loss. The natural direction of human behavior, without guidance, is spiritual loss. Time, in scientific terms, is the direction in which entropy increases. The arrow of time is defined by disorder increasing. Surah Al-Asr paints the same picture spiritually. Time drags the human being toward decline. The only way to resist is through faith, righteous action, truth, and patience. Physics describes the universal tendency of matter. The Qur'an describes the universal tendency of the human soul. Both describe the same law from different angles. A universe that runs down unless acted upon mirrors a human life that falls into meaninglessness unless guided. Even on a small scale, this truth is felt daily. Leave a room untouched for a month and dust accumulates. Leave a car unused and rust appears. Stop reading and the mind weakens. Stop worshiping and the heart hardens. Time does not merely pass, it takes something with it. The Qur'an's declaration matches the deepest laws of nature. Loss is the default. Rising is the exception. Surah Al-Asr, therefore, is not simply a warning. It is a statement of cosmic principle. When scientists tried to understand time at extremely small scales, they encountered a new mystery. The laws of physics that work for stars and planets collapse when applied to the quantum world. At the quantum scale, particles do not behave with classical predictability. They exist in states of probability, not certainty. They can tunnel through barriers, exist in multiple states simultaneously, and influence each other across vast distances instantly. The flow of time, so firm and smooth in daily life, begins to flicker and dissolve. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics, such as the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, suggest that time does not appear in the fundamental equations of physics. Time may be something that emerges only when large systems interact. Just like temperature is not a property of a single atom, but of many atoms together, time might not be a property of individual particles, but of macroscopic systems. If time is emergent, then the universe at its deepest level is timeless. Cause and effect may be illusions produced by the large-scale structure of space-time. For example, experiments in quantum entanglement show that two particles can mirror each other instantly, regardless of distance. The information travels faster than light, ignoring the classical limits of time. In quantum delayed choice experiments, the effect appears to happen before the cause is measured. Time loses the straightforward direction we assume it has. Time is not the bedrock of reality. It is a description of how reality unfolds at a human scale. At the quantum level, the rules are different. Laws change, sequences blur, measurement defines outcomes. This means that the human mind, controlled by the arrow of entropy and classical time, is not seeing the underlying truth. We see the front end, not the mechanism. The Qur'an describes the world as a veil, a lower plane of perception. Quantum theory reaches something similar scientifically. The world we perceive is not the ultimate structure. It is a projection of deeper laws. In everyday experience, this is difficult to grasp, so think of a digital screen. Everything on the screen appears smooth, colors, shapes, motion. But if you zoom in far enough, the smooth image breaks into individual pixels. The smooth world exists only because your eyes cannot see the deeper reality. The universe may work the same way. Time appears smooth and continuous because human perception is limited. At the fundamental level, time may not exist as a continuous river, but as a secondary effect of quantum information interacting. If time is emergent, then it had to emerge from something beyond time. Islamic theology has always taught that Allah created time. The Creator is not subject to the constraints of the created. Allah does not wait. Allah does not age. Allah does not enter yesterday or tomorrow. All moments, past and future, are equally present to Him. The Qur'an consistently speaks from this timeless perspective. Modern physics now entertains the possibility that ultimate reality is not temporal. Islam has been teaching this for 14 centuries. Einstein showed that time changes based on motion and gravity. Cosmology shows time began. Thermodynamics shows time has a direction. Quantum physics shows time may be an illusion emerging from a deeper timeless structure. Every major field of modern science arrives at the same remarkable insight. Time is not absolute, not eternal, and not self-sustaining. It is a created framework, a law, a stage upon which the events of the universe unfold. And like all created things, it has a beginning, and it will have an end. We are living in the final stretch of this temporal framework, and when Allah swears by time, He reminds us that human beings are in loss, and that the time we have left is very limited. Time is the currency of existence. It is the measure of human opportunity. Every step forward means something behind is left behind. Modern science emphasizes the fragility, complexity, and mystery of time. The Qur'an calls humanity to face it. When Allah says, "By time," He is calling attention to the greatest proof available in existence. Every passing second is evidence that life is temporary. Every heartbeat is a reminder that the journey is moving. Science reveals how time shapes the universe. The Qur'an reveals how time shapes the soul. Allah swears by time because time is the most valuable thing a human owns. Time is the container of destiny. Time itself is proof of loss. Time shows the universe is not random. Time scientifically shapes reality. Time is the witness of every deed. Human beings obsess over wealth, power, fame, and achievements. But every human being possesses the same ultimate currency, time, and nothing else. Everything you have will be taken from you, except what you did during the brief time allotted to you. So Allah swears by time to awaken the human being. You are not losing because you failed. You are losing because the clock is always ticking. If you stand still, you lose. If you waste life, you lose. If you drift through existence without purpose, you lose. The only way to save yourself is to follow what Allah tells us in Surah Al-Asr. This chapter is not about time management. It is about cosmic reality. Time is the unchangeable law that governs every human life.